Welcome to the Financing Simplified podcast with Anthony Venuto. If you're looking for answers to your financial questions, let Anthony and his network of friends and associates answer regular questions that regular people have about their money. Thanks for tuning in. It's time to start simplifying your finances.
Welcome back to our Financing Simplified podcast. I'm your host, Anthony, with In Touch Mortgage Solutions. And today I'm joined by Claudio and Venuto, my brother, as we unpack a lot of conversations that are happening right now with the Bank of Canada hitting the pause button, looking at renewals, as this is a big conversation happening in the marketplace right now. And I guess my question, Claudio, is, before I lob it over to you, is what do you see happening with mortgage renewals now that fixed rate mortgages, especially these shorter term products, are aligning with the variable rate mortgages? Should individuals be reaching out to their banks, to their lenders, to their brokers to actually start looking at their options?
Definitely. Well, thanks again for having me on the podcast. Great to be back. And yes, definitely. I think with the renewals, especially right now, great time to be talking to your broker because, like you said, they're aligned. Fixed and variables are really close to each other. And I think the options out there are, do I go fixed? Do I go variable on my renewal? Because fixed rates we've seen increase over the past year. It's been pretty dramatic increase on the fixed rate side. And prime were back-to-back pauses from the last one back in October. So now it's like, do I make that gamble? If my renewal is coming up now, the real question you should be asking yourself when you're sitting down and looking at, your renewal term come to fruition is what do I do? Do I go variable? Do I go fixed? And for the most part, I mean, I'm biased. I always like to say go variable, even though people might say you're crazy. Look what happened with the Bank of Canada, all these rates, but you're hedging your bet because now with the fixed rates being so close to what the the fixed rates being so close to the variable rates, depending on the discount, you're going to look at yourself, you say, in 6-7 months, where are we going to be in the market? Are fixed rates done? You're seeing a lot out there with the bond yields, especially that they're not really stable. They're still increasing and banks are pricing this in and their fixed rates are going up and up. It might be a good time to come back to the variable.
So I think, as I said, just to dive a little bit deeper into that conversation, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, variable, are you guys kidding? What a joke. No chance. Yeah. I mean, for the longest time, variable was a dead product. You said that there was almost like a bad word to say variable. But I think you bring up a good point, especially if you're on the other side of the camera looking, or the other side of the headphones listening, saying, okay, is my mortgage coming up for renewal? What do I think is going to happen in the next 6, 8, 12 months from now? Are interest rates at the peak? Are they going to come back down? Because maybe at that point you can argue or convince yourself to look at a variable rate product, because there's a lot of stigma right now with a variable. And because of the fact that I think a lot of individuals that got into a variable rate product weren't told or weren't educated properly on what the outcomes could possibly be. Yeah. I talk to people all the time. It's like, our clients are told, it's an adjustable rate mortgage. That means your payment will move if the Bank of Canada goes up or down. Then there's the static trigger rate mortgage where your payment stays the same. So talking about that is obviously now making that decision. If you're going into a variable rate mortgage and you think that interest rates are going to come down, what product should you be selecting? Should you be selecting a static payment mortgage or should you be selecting an adjustable rate mortgage? Yeah. And how many lenders actually offer an adjustable rate in this market right now?
Yeah, definitely. Looking back at our book of business, I'm so happy that we positioned a lot of our clients with Scotiabank, because they're the only banks that offer an adjustable variable rate product, right? Where the interest and principal portion of the payment actually adjusts, right? You'll see a difference in payment if the prime rate changes. But, your TDs, your BMO, RBCs, a lot of them are static payments. So you're looking at yourself and it's like, for in 6 months, if the fixed rates go down, am I really going to lock myself into a 3-year fix right now at the peak of the mortgage rate? Of the rates, I don't know. It all depends on your situation. We're in a landscape right now where it's extremely case by case. I'd love to sit here and say that one box checks all, but it doesn't, right? Because how about if you're looking to move in less than a year? starting a family, you're coming from, or you hit that trigger rate. So you're seeing your payment already almost triple. And now your rate's coming up, your mortgage coming up for renewal. What do you do? Is it in your best interest to maybe look at a different lender that offers a different product with the variable? What's that going to cost me? Is there a savings benefit to me now switching over completely? Because there's a difference between switching and refinancing that we've discussed here on the podcast before. But I think the most important thing that we can say is reach out to us, reach out to your broker, have the conversation.
Have that conversation, because I think it's very important. So the difference, just to touch on your point, to expand a little bit, to simplify things. Obviously, if you're looking at renewal, there's very little that needs to be done on the renewal end. You're just literally potentially signing back those documents or switching that mortgage over. It does require some, obviously, requalification if you're switching over to a different lender. But generally, if you're in the same boat, you're not touching the mortgage, you're not taking out new money, then it's a renewal or a switch transfer. Then there's a refinance equity takeout, which, at that point you can also revisit the options, right? If you're saying, okay, I have some debt I've accumulated over the past, I want to maybe consolidate some things. Maybe you're at a 20-year or 15-year amortization. You're looking at the finances saying, hey, what if I refinance back up to 30 years? I can help reduce my payments in this higher interest rate environment.
I think it's definitely going to be more part of the conversation. I think especially in our, like even ourselves, we've seen our rates jump up, our payments jump up. And if you're seeing, a 10-year term in the threes, I think a lot of people are going to jump on that.
Well, if I say 10-year term in the 3, I'm signing right now.
So you know what I mean? Like, it all depends on how everything pans out, where the fixed rates are. Obviously we're close to the end of the year this year. So, beginning of 2024, closer to the middle, Q3, Q4, end of the year, because that's where all the banks are saying where rates are going to come down, yields are going to come down, and they're already kind of, bringing that topic planting the seed. Exactly. Thanks for that.
And sort of really make that decision, or at least think about it, because prior to this event, I mean, I don't know about you, I don't think I've ever sold a 7 or 10-year product.
Even just in the past year, we've moved away from 5-year rates, 5-year terms, right? So because of the landscape of how the rates have increased dramatically, right? So you're now saying, okay, we moved away from variable, then we moved away from 5-year term mortgages. We're talking majority
Short
about
term.
3-year or 1-year to 3-year terms, and now the conversation is, if the rates go this way, how much longer? Like, should I get a longer term? Should I just, set it in stone and forget it? And I'm good in my current situation. It might work for some people. Other people, it might not. Like, again, case by case.
And as I said, sometimes you have to look at, if I guess there are these potentials for individuals to look at these longer terms, because I think it's important to have that conversation. I think there's a lot of people talking about that right now. I really don't think there is, but I think if interest rates sort of settle down, that conversation will open up significantly. And it is going to be something that, I know that we're going to be talking to our clients about, to say, look, here's your options. Because before, people would ask you for longer terms, and it would be like, what are the penalties, so on and so forth. But now it's going to be, sort of that set and forget it, because in the case of a long term or some cataclysmic black swan event happening, they're okay, right? They're locked in. And, having this conversation around refinancing those mortgages, having the conversation around what clients should be doing, I think it's important to always remember, if your mortgage is approaching renewal, a lot of times people are inclined to go to their banks or talk to their lender directly. But, with everything that's happened right now, we're getting some of our clients that are getting renewals that are not, too favorable in the sense of the bank. Because remember, if the bank realizes, and it's a possibility that some of the banks may realize that a lot of their clientele is not going to be able to move from where they are. They don't qualify, right? What's going to happen if they don't? So always getting that second opinion is really, really important. Anything you want to add to that, Claude, before we round out?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you hit the nail right on the head there, because it's just having the conversation, talking it out, reaching out to your broker. Like, I actually spoke with a friend. They didn't even their mortgage was coming up for renewal, and they weren't even offered a variable rate. It wasn't even part of the conversation with their contact at the branch. They just ignored it. They're like, no, these are the fixed rates that we want you to sign or look at. And, I'm having the conversation and be like, but why wouldn't they give you
Maybe they know something.
They know something. I don't know. I think it's just, typically at the branch they don't dive deeper. They don't ask the questions a broker would typically ask, and for them, I think it's their kickback if they sign you on a 5-year fixed is definitely greater than that on a shorter term,
Sure, because
or
the
at a
penalty.
variable rate, right? So I think it's just definitely to have the conversation.
That's it. So always make sure to reach out to a mortgage professional. It can keep thousands of dollars in your pocket. But Claudio, we know you don't have Instagram, but you can definitely find us on our In Touch page at In Touch Mortgages. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. But we'll see you next week. And actually, we'll be back with Claudio on the next episode. So thanks again for tuning in.
Take care.
Yeah, there you go.